Hello woolly thistlers, it's Rachel from Croft here in Fair Isle. Well, the end of October started with very autumnal weather. Luckily the sheep are experts at finding sheltered spots and I kept nice and cosy in my thick survival suit. The temperature really dropped, and that night, as well as lighting the fire, I had the cats to keep me warm as well. And would you believe it, the next day was t-shirt weather. For the last 6 months I've been without a working cooker, and despite buying a second-hand one, there's no one qualified to work with gas here in Fair Isle. So I had to wait for our landlords, the National Trust for Scotland, to send in the gas engineers to do their annual inspections on all of the gas appliances in the Isle. Well, they fitted my new cooker, which is fantastic, and the old one got sort of left outside in the garden. So I decided to put it to good use, and it's now helping to hold up the roof on my little outdoor shelter here, and the hens are using it as nest boxes. I had a very quiet Halloween, but Meg and the cats wanted to dress up for you in some disguises. The night when the supermoon was at its fullest was sadly overcast here, but I did take this photo the evening before and that the following morning. It certainly started to feel like autumn had finally arrived now that we were about a week into November. We had 3 days of being fog-bound, which hasn't happened for a while. I really loved Maggie's recent cable sweater that she knitted and was interested to try knitting with the Roma Fivel yarn, and I have to say it's absolutely lovely to knit with. This is the design that I chose. It's called Mullion Cove by Sarah Hatton, and it was in an old copy of the Knitter magazine. And here you can see Ruffalo's helping me get on with it. You may remember Plink. He was one of my surprise lambs that happened last year, and you can see there he's just had one of his horns trimmed. It was growing very close to his neck, so he's just had the end taken off so that it doesn't cause him any problems. And there you can see that's the bit that was taken off, and it's actually very pointed, very sharp, so another few millimetres and that would have actually started growing into his neck, so completely painless to remove that for him. We had our annual Remembrance Sunday service at chapel and afterwards walked down to the War Memorial to lay a wreath. Well, can you believe that we are a third of the way through November and just look at this weather? It feels like we've skipped back to summer. Blue skies, sunshine, barely any wind. Oh, it'd be lovely if we had more days like this, although sadly I don't think this good spell of weather is set to last very long. So I've just moved past the field, but I've basically opened up. I had my remaining silage park. After it had been cut, I fenced it off so the sheep couldn't go in, and that just meant we got a little bit extra, a couple of months extra grass growth in there, and that's what I've now let the sheep onto, so they're having a good snack in there. You'll be able to see them as I pan round. So that'll be the last bit of grass growth for this year until about May next year. It was really wonderful to hear how good a time Maggie and Corinne had had at Shetland Wool Week. I absolutely loved their podcast episode when they were recapping what they got up to, where they went, and it was super to see some of their photos as well. I also really enjoyed reading all of your comments, and so many people were saying how much they'd love to come to Shetland for a knitting holiday or to Wool Week. And so I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about knitting holidays that are actually run here in Fair Isle. One of the knitters here, Marie, actually runs machine knitting holidays, but in 2026 she's going to be running 4 hand knitting holidays with 4 sort of special guest tutors. In June it will be with Terry Laura, and you'll be able to make a yoked sweater like this. In July, Crystal Seyfarth, who is a Danish knitter, a knitwear designer, she's coming, and she'll be bringing her own kind of spin of colour work into Fair Isle knitting as well. In August, it's Donna Smith, who you may know, and she also produces her own Langsund yarn. And she'll be doing, as well as knitting, she'll be talking and showing you how to work with natural dyes. And in October it's the turn of Jeanette Budge, and in my opinion they've saved the best till last. Jeanette comes from generations of Shetland hand knitters, and out of all of these weeks she is, I believe, the only one who will be giving tuition in using the traditional Shetland knitting belt. She'll also talk about how to choose colours for Fair Isle, and she'll talk about her history and her family's history of Shetland knitting, as well as a wider look at the history of knitting traditions within Shetland as well. So I don't know if any of those holidays might be of interest to you, but get in touch with Marie at Fair Isle with Marie. That's her website, and I'm sure she'll be very happy to answer any questions you might have. Well, I apologise if you're sick to the back teeth of hearing about this, but it would be remiss of me not to mention the recent TV programme Game of Wool, Britain's Best Knitter, and some of the drama surrounding that. If you've never heard of this TV show, then I can really recommend this very short video on YouTube. If you look for Deborah Knits on YouTube, her channel, and watch this video, that will kind of cover everything that's been going on in more detail than I can give here. Essentially, the first episode, in which the knitters were tasked with knitting a Fair Isle tank top, has caused quite a lot of upset and anger amongst the Shetland knitting community. The tank tops they knit had nothing to do with the Fair Isle tradition, and even the knowledge from the so-called experts was misleading at best. If you're interested in finding out the reasons why this episode has caused so much upset, then a really good place is to look at the social media pages, that's Instagram and Facebook, for Shetlands Organisation for Knitters, and they've done several posts on exactly why this has caused so much upset. I think one of the most frustrating things is that months and months ago, the production company for this television programme came to Fair Isle, and they spent an entire day filming with 2 of the knitters here, none of which sort of footage made it into the television programme. But I think in light of all of sort of the backlash that they've received for this first episode, they have actually released a short 10-minute video on YouTube which does feature Marie and Anne talking about Fair Isle and the Fair Isle knitting tradition. So it's a really interesting watch. If you go to the Let's Get Knitting YouTube page, you'll find a link on there. However, even that has some inaccuracies in it. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts, I'm going to put a short video up on my Patreon page. So if you go to Patreon and just look for Barkland Croft, you'll be able to find me. Thank you for joining me here again today, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next month. Bye for now.